Alright, so yes, Blizzard just confirmed a critical feature from the Diablo 4 beta will not be making it into the full version of the game, and it was a pretty important part of the dungeon farming experience for many of you. Also, a new tease from the development team has the community talking about a brand new class coming to the game. We'll talk about it, and an exploit will not be making it into the full version. This is actually great news for PvP multiplayer, plus all new information about skill reset costs, new Druid details, and much more. So yeah, you're probably wondering, what in the world is this big feature that was very present in the Diablo 4 beta that is now no longer going to be in the game? So, it comes from the recent blog post, and it was mentioned briefly and kind of hidden away at the end of this blog post. A lot of people noticed it, and here we have a response from the community manager of Diablo 4. Check it out right here. It says, been seeing quite a bit of discussion on the reset dungeon button being disabled line. We added in an extra developer note on the blog to help clarify the change. So yes, no longer will there be an option when you actually clear a dungeon to open up the menu and just reset the dungeon completely and run it again. It goes on to say this right here. While Diablo 4's Sanctuary is home to over 100 dungeons, the open beta only have the subset offered in Act 1's Fractured Peaks for players to explore, and a level cap that isn't a full representation of the experience at launch. There are many reasons to complete a variety of dungeons, including collecting powerful fixes in the Codex of Power, and players will still be able to repeat dungeons by partying up with others and having them start the dungeon. We also wanted to make sure that resetting the dungeon wasn't a way for hardcore players to avoid death when experiencing a challenge in a dungeon. Still, we know it can be a lot of fun to repeat a specific dungeon, and the team is looking at a more permanent solution to this, like having some reasonable cap on how many times the same dungeon can be completed in a row to better support that style of play. In fact, in the full game, players will acquire sigils that will unlock nightmare dungeons, which are specifically designed to be completed repeatedly and are optimized to be a highly rewarding and replayable experience. We'll have more to share on this in the future. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think of this one. It definitely stirred up a lot of controversy. In fact, here is this reply right here about the matter. That kind of sucks for solo players, though. I feel like if people want to spam one specific optimal dungeon, then that should be allowed, or at least have a cap per hour like World of Warcraft. Also, a joined random dungeon shrine with extra rewards in the town could also be a cool way to avoid this. And Adam Fletcher did reply saying, as noted, the team is still exploring options. And Neil chimed in saying, yeah, this is something I hope you all are able to solve ASAP. I spent 88 hours playing the beta, and farming dungeons is one of the things I enjoyed the most. So, I think they're going to have to fight their way to a middle ground, so to speak, and formulate some sort of plan to appease to everyone. Honestly, I think it just comes down to providing players the freedom to play the way they want to. If you want to be able to repeat dungeons and do that sort of gameplay, you should be able to. I know it's a huge part of the beta experience. However, I do kind of get where the team is coming from here. They built this huge, massive open world, and they don't want you to be in one dungeon. They want you to explore all of the world, all of the dungeons. So with that being said, they're going to have major incentive to do that. Like, every dungeon needs to provide you with a reason to be there, because players will find the best dungeon to farm over and over again. It's just the way it's going to work. So let me know if you require to have the reset dungeon button in the game. Right now, I'm a little worried about the approach they're taking, because once again, they're trying to really make it a non-solo experience, an experience where you have to hop into co-op. My personal belief is that you should be able to experience this game in any way, shape, or form, solo or co-op, and be able to have the freedom of replaying the dungeons like those that will be able to do that and pull that off in co-op. That's just my personal opinion. All right, so let's get into this one right here. We have a question about the tab overlay map. So Christopher says this: will there be a tab overlay map eventually added to the game? I really miss being able to look at my map while moving in Diablo 4. And the response was from Rod Ferguson, who says, no plans at the moment. He didn't even say the usual reply, not at launch, which gives us some hope. But yeah, it seems like right now, currently, they just have no plans at all to provide that overlay map without an explanation. And I know this is a critical part of ARPGs. So if you come from Path of Exile, this might be like, where's the overlay map? I'm so used to having this, or even like previous Diablo experiences. So I think it's something that, again, they should be providing as an option to players. Now we have this one right here. It says, I didn't see anything in there about letting barbarians use shields. And Rod Ferguson says this, there's a reason for that, smiley face. So there are some replies here that say, this seems like it's some sort of tease to perhaps the Paladin coming to the game eventually. We know that the Paladin loves to use a combo of shield and then a spear, and even like a sword. That could be potentially what they do with that class as well. So I'm thinking that this is kind of a tease as to getting a new class in the game post-launch, and it would be, of course, the Paladin or some sort of Holy Knight that would really use a shield. They're going to reserve that sort of feature for perhaps a whole new class. That's what I'm thinking that sort of tease is going for right there. Now, Joe Shelley of Blizzard goes on to say this as well. He says, this didn't make the patch notes, but we also adjusted many skills to make their maximum distances consistent between aspect ratios like teleport. We'll talk more about this in the upcoming live streams. If you don't know exactly what this means, they've basically updated it so you can't teleport clear across the screen if you are on an ultra wide monitor. This was an exploit, and I was like, wow, they got to fix this big time, because this would be a major issue for PvP, of course. And it looks like they're going to have that as like a non-issue in the full version of the game. So you don't have to really worry about someone with a huge ultra-wide monitor zipping and zapping throughout the battlefield, clear across the battlefield, and really taking advantage of that sort of thing. All right, so let's get into a brand new interview, which goes into all new details about what's happening to Respec costs and that sort of thing. So let's dive into it right now. Here we go. It goes on to say this, are there any plans to adjust skill reset costs? And we have a response from Joseph Porpora of Blizzard, who says, we got a lot of feedback. We'll continue to look into it. We still think the current cost level is reasonable. Since it is a game that will be a live service, adjustments may be possible after close observation of skill initialization. I will make the gold I use feel meaningful. This is translated, by the way. They're basically saying that they still want gold to feel meaningful, of course, with this system. Kind of makes sense, but again, a lot of you just want it to be free. Like, come on now. Also, it says, at the lower level stage, the skill initialization cost will be kept at such a low level that you can hardly feel it. However, if you level up, you won't suddenly be asked for a lot of gold, even at the end of the game. If I had used my resources in the right place, I wouldn't feel the cost of returning them too high. So they're claiming right now that it's no big deal. Even at the end game, you will be able to respec, but he didn't go on to say that you would be able to respec or redo your entire character at the end of the game just freely without worry about gold. I think when it comes to respecing your entire character in the very end game with the Paragon board, and you're deep into the Paragon board, that's when you most likely would, of course, be running into issues. I do believe. We'll see if that pans out to be the case, but that's what I'm thinking based on what's going on here with like comments and stuff. All right, so it says the druids you met in the open beta only transform when you use skills, which is different from the druids in Diablo 2 who maintain their transformations. In the future, will there be a passive or skill that is always maintained in the in-game content? Great question, and a surprising answer. We have this one right here. There are some intentional parts. What I wanted to add while making the current version of the druid was to be able to flexibly go through bears and wolves. Among the items that can be used later, there are unique armor items that allow you to permanently remain in werewolf form. Our intention was to transform flexibly, but there are times when it's fun to deviate from the rules. So yeah, if you want to go full-blown werewolf as a druid in the end game, looks like that is definitely going to be a possibility. All right, next up it says, as the character's power increases, so-called one-time kills seem to be possible. Will PvP items and PvE items be separated in the future, or is there room for additional systems such as options and skills for PvP? And the response is this. I'm thinking about the part where the power of a certain character or skill is excessively increased and sends the opponent in one shot. and I'm trying to prevent it as much as possible. There are currently no plans for specific items or attributes for PvP. Overall, the PvP content itself may not be perfectly balanced. It's because it feels like an open world brawl. Diablo 4's PvP content itself is for slaughter rather than honor. So yeah, don't expect the PvP experience, I guess, to be like 100% balanced, which is kind of worrisome, especially if you're going to love PvP in the future. But it just seems like it's going to be this crazy experience about who can actually create the craziest build and really show that off in like this PvP brawl. So yeah, there you have it. Let me know if you guys are worried about that or not. Also, it says during the development process that was revealed last year, it was announced that a hard reset would be carried out every season. With the addition of the prestige system, the amount of content that needs to be attacked to enjoy the end content to a higher level has become vast. Are all related elements such as prestige and the codex of power obtained from dungeons included in the reset criteria, or is there any exception to this? I guess, you know, I'm trying to translate here for you as well. It's a little bit worded weirdly. Now, we have this right here. As we create sanctuaries, we aim to provide entertainment. Hard resets are planned for each season, but stat points obtained from the altar of Lilith will not be included in the reset targets. Potion or skill points will be reset, but bonuses obtained from the altar, will be permanently subordinated to all my characters. Various tools will be prepared to make the reputation system feel as repetitive as possible. Again, this is translated. It's supposed to say not repetitive as possible. The wordage there is incorrect. I get what they're saying. So yeah, Altar of Lilith will not be reset, I guess. So I suppose that's good news. It'll be very much account-wide, and it's one less thing you'll have to worry about redundantly doing as you go through seasons. So that's great news, at least in my opinion, to really prevent that feel of like, oh my god, this is such a grind, I can't play this game anymore. So they're trying their best to avoid that sort of fatigue with this game. But yes, it's that time again. It's time to get into your top comments. Remember to leave a comment down below. It could end up right here on the screen in a future video. So my most recent video was this one right here. Diablo 4 just got new gameplay updates. This is insane. All right, let's get into this. I also had a question for you all, and it was right here. It says, what's everyone playing this weekend since there's no Diablo 4 beta? It's been rough, guys. And King Jackson says this, I've been killing time with No Man's Sky like having a time portal. Dude, I've been meaning to get into that one so much. It's just there's so many games, and a lot of them do require a lot of effort and time to get into. So that's a monster size of a game, but they have done so much to improve it, and it's wild to think what it used to be to what it is now, and all of that was done through free updates. That team is amazing. Like, dude, I'm just shocked what they've done. All right, so we have this one right here from Dark Stalker, who says, I've been playing Ghostwire Tokyo, another game that I want to get my hands on and try, and it looks beautiful. You know, I've seen some recent stuff around that one. I'm like, what is this game? Whoa. Honestly, I wish they would do that kind of more open worldish. I think that'd be really cool. And we have this one from K Grant, who says this, Diablo 3. Actually, I've been diving into, yes, the previous Diablo games, kind of preparing for Diablo 4 over here. So yeah, Diablo 3 is definitely one I've been playing as the monk. Love the monk. Then we have this one from Neuromanada, who says, finish Nobody Saves the World today, and after a shower, I'll start playing Darkwood. Also, I'm thinking about my 5th attempt at getting into Dark Souls. Will you actually be able to defeat it and accomplish the impossible? Those games are so difficult, man. But yeah, that's kind of the charm to them. It's like once you finally get past a certain boss or whatever, you really do feel the accomplishment. We have this one right here. I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. It says, I cannot wait for Diablo 4. It's driving me nuts. Your videos keep my stoke alive. Love your videos. You're great. I need to watch that movie again, by the way. That movie was freaking hilarious. But thank you so much. Yes, you know, anything to keep you guys, like, busy. I know how it is. I just want to play Diablo 4. Like, seriously, I cannot wait for this game so much. But let's keep going. All right, next one we have, yes, Slarganor. I believe it is. I think you guys have ended up in my videos before. So here we go. It says, glad they are listening to feedback on the moving interaction keybinds. Personally would love a keybind to just disable the primary attack when held. I think that would feel better than separating two actions completely. Interesting feedback on that one. The more options, in my opinion, to cater to everyone, the better. That's just my personal opinion. With when it comes to controls and things like that. I know a lot of people want WASD support as well. Now we have S who says, do people not go into every single room in a dungeon anyway? Why is this an issue? I know I'm not the only one who needs to check every inch of a dungeon in fear of missing something. For me, it's like OCD. It's a real problem with any game, even like open world games, whatever, The Witcher. I have to check like every single room, every nook and cranny. If I miss something, I'm like, did I miss something big? That's just how my mind thinks. So I'm still going to be checking out all the dungeons, every nook and cranny. So I get where you're coming from, but to hear that they're listening to things like they're adding more movement abilities in dungeons, for me personally, that's one of the biggest things. I'm like, wow, okay, all right. Because like, let's say you get to one part of the dungeon that isn't as meaningful and they put a statue that you can activate and it gives you movement speed bonus. That's going to help you so much backtrack to where you need to go. And I think that sort of quality of life improvement does matter. All right, so there it is. Thank you all so much for the comments and love and support on the videos. I got you guys covered on all things Diablo for you. Better believe it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time. Take care.